All right. Hello again. This is Chad Everett Broshears. I am the host of Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia, and this is an episode on my observations from bullying and the experience of dating or relationships as a whole in the 21st century. So, first off, you know, my experience of this bullying concept is it's not new. It hasn't been new for a long time. We have cliques, we have tribes, we have groups of people, and there is a requirement for a group to be together, and there has to be some common bond, some common strain. And usually within that group has outcast or there's out groups. Uh, Bullying is a form of out group aggression. Somebody that doesn't fit your group or fit the group is subject to that, bullying. A lot of children do it, and the behavior is becoming more of a celebritized direction. There's more, we're in the age of the I celebrity. Everybody is with a camera, is a intended celebrity of their own right. Whenever I was younger, you really sought out. Like I'm 36 now. Whenever I was in my teens and before that, it was the only way to become a celebrity was to basically make it big in Hollywood, or at least that was the colloquial idea of it, or the common idea of it. Uh, it wasn't, necessarily even Broadway as much as it was being on the big screen, being in, people's homes and videos and things or movies. So that was the way of becoming a celebrity. Now we have this new position that is anybody with an iPhone or a smartphone can upload a video and or any device. They can upload a video and put it on the web, and within a certain amount of time the video has content that people are dying to express themselves through or have expressed themselves through, and likes to see other people doing the same thing. It expands to an I tribe, if you will, an online or an extra human type tribe thing. It's a global experience at that point. So now that is basically started replacing some of the desire to make it to Hollywood. Some people think they'll make it to Hollywood by that video type or that direction, and I think that a lot of people actually still view that as an option. And some people have made it that way. We have the American Idol direction. We have America has talent. We've got Europe has talent. Things like that. There's a lot of things that are making people seek out their own means of achieving greatness by celebrity direction greatness. So they're doing it through as many means as possible, regardless of the cost of others, because they're not necessarily mature enough to recognize the cost on others. So by picking on somebody by whatever reason, like right now we have this thing going on, it's gone to viral levels where people are screaming, "What are those?" about someone's shoes. Or if they're wearing an off-brand shoes or just some odd shoe type, there's this "what are those" kind of thing going on, and people are finding it, to be pretty funny. But I don't find it all that funny. I'm not one that really gives a rat's ass about shoes. If you have them, great. If you don't have them, how can we help you get them? That's my position. But there's quite a bit of that going on. There's the world star hip hop thing going on as well, where people just they behave however the hell they want, and by doing that, they get recognition for it. It's the street credibility or street cred that's making them kind of act out like the class clown, but no longer is it just stuck inside of the classroom. You can see it in schools. If you catch videos on it with kids in school, there's the behavioral issues going on in schools, disrupting learning. They don't realize what happens in their future. But I've seen videos of people doing some of the most outlandish things in classrooms, and the teachers, these poor teachers that have devoted their life to educating youth, being treated very disrespectfully, trying to educate these individuals to at least be able to fit into a system where they can make money. And these kids think that they're going to make more money by acting out and being discovered by somebody. And somebody's going to pick them up. Somebody's going to recognize them. Somebody's going to pay them. Even YouTube itself is, if you get a certain amount of views, and you become a certain level of popularity, you can be paid for your channel by how many people view it and by sponsorship. Not really sponsorship for your channel directly that I know of, but you can elect to have your videos be paid by how many views you get. The advertiser pays a specific amount per views once you reach a certain level. So these kids are finding that, I don't need to do all this stuff and this learning because this learning's hard, but it's easier to act up. It's easier to act like a clown. It's easier to show aggression towards others, show disrespect, because being disrespectful has become more of this celebrity direction. There's two gentlemen that are also becoming fairly popular. I would say more infamous than famous, but depending on your viewpoint and why you accept or you deny that individual. But one is Tyrone. He's known for the long dick style. If you watch any of the videos, you'll see what I'm talking about, where, it's like, I'm Tyrone and I'm here to sleep with your wife, or I'm here to fuck your wife. And you've got all these individuals that are like, hey, that's actually kind of funny. I'm going to do it too. Right. And there's mimicry when you see stuff like that. For him, he struggled as an actor for a while. I've watched one of the videos where he was being himself, not his character Tyrone. And he'd struggled for a bit with his characters. And he came up with this guy that's just like this big black dude that just doesn't care. And he's just out to take whatever he wants. And anyone who shows aggression towards him, he just gets extremely aggressive towards them, regardless of who they are. And then there's another gentleman named Brody that's doing something very similar. And they're just, they've met up with each other in public in one video where their groups are going at it with each other. And then it looks like it's getting serious and something's going to happen or whatever. But if you find their actual videos, they're acting. But mimicry comes out of acting. The problem with the irresponsible behavior is because it's irresponsible behavior, because the outcome is something that, would they want their family members to have that same type of aggression shown towards them? Or would they want to have that same kind of aggression shown towards them as well when they're just living their life and not playing their roles? Other people will mimic it. They'll become targets whenever they're seen in public. If they're not actually targeted for, hey, there's Tyrone, I want to meet this guy, right? There could be that I need to punk this guy. I need to show him up. I need to show him I'm more aggressive. Or if I punk him, I'm a better celebrity, right? Violence can escalate very quickly. The same thing with Brody. Brody's a very big man. If you see the videos, by comparison to Tyrone, who looks like a very big gentleman himself, Brody's much, much larger. It's just this idea that you need to basically show aggression towards another, get them to back down, and you've become the alpha male. You become the one that others want to idolize and mimic. That gives you that freedom of, I'm going to be paid for my behavior. That'll cause bullying at a young age, because these individuals that are being mimicked are bullying other people, and they're being accepted for it. And not only accepted, they're being celebritized. They're being put on a pedestal in such a way that other people want to behave that way. I watched a video the other day on Facebook that was a gentleman that was with his girlfriend. His girlfriend was videotaping, and they'd seen this white gentleman get into his vehicle. His Volkswagen looked like a Passat or something of that nature. And it may not have been that vehicle make and model, but this gentleman gets into his vehicle. It's a fairly newer make. He gets into it, and they're like, hey, there's this guy over there. Let's go get him. We're going to get this white mother effer, right? They go over. The guy's like getting ready to drive. I guess he's doing something on his phone just before he's about to leave. And they open the, he knocks on the car window. The guy's shocked. And the guy opens the door. The gentleman in the vehicle, this happened to be, a black woman, black man. And I'm not, profiling by any means, but the behavior is going to be mimicked, and regardless of race, which is a term I'm not too keen on using. We're all the same species. So this gentleman comes over, tells the guy to get out of the vehicle, and basically is like, you need to get out of the car now. You need to give me everything you've got, and get out. He's carjacking him on film. Now, his girlfriend's recording this entire incident, and she's just instigating and talking crap and all the rest of this. And this guy gets out of his car and he just runs away, and they take his car. And then they're trying to figure out how to get out of the parking lot, as they don't even know how to get out of the parking lot at this point. It's just one of those random acts. And then he tells her to shut the camera off. That's the kind of behavior that will be mimicked. You'll see it everywhere. You'll see it in the, within, radicalist groups, regardless of what it is. You can look at religious radical groups. Doesn't matter what religion. It's if you see a radical position and it falls into an ideology of your own and you wish to actually cultivate that skill to be recognized for that skill set, you're likely to utilize that as your behavior, to try to gain access to other people's acceptance, for popularity, which is acceptance on a larger scale. So you'll see it in, Islamic states, where somebody wants to be, radicalized, or they really want a degree of popularity or acceptance for whatever reason, whether that is, look how good of a martyr I am, and, whatever that is, or if it is to get other people to do things for you, which is ultimately the idea, is to get other people to do things for you or for your family to benefit you in some way. That's why you'll behave in such a way. So you'll see it in that. You'll see it in not just Islam. Don't think that I'm just picking on that. I've seen it in Christianity. I've seen it in pretty much I've seen it in every religion, including Jainism. Jainism doesn't go the direction of violence, though. Jainism is truly the only peaceful religion on the planet, except for peace to self. But they still see it as peace to self. Is they'll go to extremes in order to not cause harm to other things, even as much as filtering water through a cheesecloth, because they don't want the bacteria in the water to be killed by their ingestion. They'll wear masks to cover their mouth so they don't breathe in bacteria and kill it. They really are, the radicalists are the ones that do even further. They're the ones that are just, Buddhists don't have anything on a Jainist, in the sense that, Buddhists try not to do harm, they don't kill, and, things like that. Not all Buddhists, but there are definitely Buddhists that do that. And Buddhism does try to teach that. But Jainism is the next level, extreme to that extent. They really don't harm. And that's, the last thing that a Jain would do is harm another purposely or willfully. That's truly the only peaceful religion on the planet. And I'm not an advocate for that one either, because of what it does to self, what it does to human development, and several other values. But regardless of these things, it's what promotes bullying. Bullying itself really is for a desire to be accepted by your crowd, whether that's out of fear or that acceptance is another means, but it's still acceptance regardless. I just don't want to be tried. Pretty much most people understand that, like as I was growing up, I was taught that, if you really wanted to put a bully in their place, you do what you can to keep a bully from attacking you. But if you show that you're not going to resist them, they're more likely to come after you. And what my father's advice, was to punch him in the nose. That'll show a bully. And it does at times. There's a good deal of time that it does. The bully's used to not having somebody push back. It's usually used to not having somebody actually put them in their place. Now, does that mean that the person won't still retaliate? That doesn't mean that. But what it does do usually is a wake-up call that, hey, this person's not going to let me pick on them and push them around anymore. So you'll find that is a way of combating bullying, but it's still, a bully doesn't, they're just trying to be accepted by their peers. But whatever their acceptance concept is, whether that acceptance is solely based on fear, or if it's based on love, or if it's based on intelligence, or whatever it is, because there's intellectual bullying, there's physical bullying, there's emotional bullying, there's pretty much any plane of our existence has an opportunity for being bullied, or to be a bully. If you can be bullied, then there is a way of being bullied. Then, so it depends on where you are in that hierarchy concept. So it's going to be there. The benefits of this is a tool set that you'll develop, because life doesn't happen in such a way that it's a bully-free zone. We want to keep it out of our schools, but at the same time, if you don't have the skill set to teach your child how to actually overcome bullying, your child's not going to be able to do it in the real world either. And they'll look at the world as being unfair. They'll look at the world as being whatever actually vindicates the position of being bullied. So usually people say that life is unfair or something is unfair. Count that as a wonderful thing. Because if it's unfair, winning the lottery is also unfair. Right? But most people focus on unfair being the negatives only, or the undesirables only. Unfair is on both sides. And it's unfair that some people have an advantage in education, right? Well, for the person with the advantage in education, do they look at it as being a curse or a blessing, right? Do they look at it as being a positive or a negative, or a desirable or undesirable? it can be seen as being undesirable for that person if that's not the choice direction they want in developing themselves. Maybe they don't want to follow the family heritage. Maybe they don't want to go by what they're, genetically only observed as. So they may find it wonderful at one point in time, but something they can't stand or despise at later points in their life. So as far as that goes, we continue to, try to strip and create a sterile existence. If you keep telling people that bullying is wrong and you don't go after what actually is right or what can be brought out of it and actually controlled or developed out of it, consider it's just an opportunity for development. If you go around telling people that the only way to live life is optimistically and happy, then what happens when people aren't happy? Life is devalued. There's something that's not right, something that's wrong. And if you suppress the development whenever something shows up that's not what you want it to be, optimistically seen as, you may avoid actually developing yourself with this nullifying, mind blanking, it'll all get better soon. Don't worry, it will pass. How about this is an opportunity, it's a lesson that's presenting itself because you have an attachment for a specific result and you don't go after it. You avoid it because it's easier to say, everybody else is saying is optimistic is the best way to live life, so I'll do that. You see, you create a lot of voids to be filled. And when those voids are filled by non-mature guidance, then people have to find their own way in the void. So sometimes that void will create an opportunity to be bullied or to be a bully. So with this, as you see that there's a great deal of value that can come out of this. It's your skill set. It's your ability to overcome, first to cope, and then overcome the situation. Does it mean that if somebody's aggressive towards you, you simply go back with aggression? No, not necessarily. But if you can tell by that you are disarmed and the ability to defend yourself, what is the next rational course of action? Develop the ability to defend yourself. All right, you can take classes and courses in order to do that. Sometimes the bullied become the bullier or the bully. So there's a balance that takes place. It's not uncommon to find that either. When you've been bullied at one point in time, people commonly accuse cops of this, police officers in the United States, that you must have been really bullied a lot in high school because you're a real asshole now that you have a badge. Now, do I think that always? No. But if the character shows that, then yeah, of course, it's logical to think that this person has been bullied a lot. Now they have the position of authority, so they're going to be the bully. Now, do I fault them for it? No, not directly as if, they were just some hardcore asshole. I see beyond that and look at this person hurt at a different time in their life. Now I can just say, you know what, screw it, avoid it, ignore it, or use whatever capacity, skill set that I have to potentially overcome it. If nothing else, acknowledge it. I get it, dude. Or I get it, ma'am, or whatever it is. I just get it. I get you've gone through some stuff. And with that, I accept that you're where you are. I'm not going to let it affect my day any further other than what is justifiable and the being affected. But I'm not going to live in the effect of it for the rest of my life and make all cops to blame. I'm not going to live in the effect of it the rest of my life and make all men to blame, or women to blame, or white people to blame, or black people to blame, or any value system that person seems to represent at the moment you're inflicted by that experience. So with all of this basically being stated, I'm just simply stating that the bullying aspect actually has values, and we focus almost entirely on the negative context of being bullied because, we'll lose people to this. But we're losing people to it because we don't know how to educate the individual that's being bullied, because we ourselves have not grown through that. So that's one aspect. Now, to move on to the next portion of this, which is relationships in the 21st century. The first aspect to the relationships in the 21st century is I am getting inundated with seeing posts and seeing people's statements on Facebook and YouTube videos and in person, or coming across literature of somebody giving relationship advice, telling people how real men and or real women behave. This will cause manipulation because there is no distinction for what a real man does, and there is no distinction for what a real woman does other than a colloquial position, meaning that this is a use of a term that is not necessarily defined as a, as a full distinction definition, but more of a social definition of what somebody does or says. It's a cultural definition at times, but most of it is actually a family definition, which is my father or my mother taught me to be this way, and all men and women should behave this way. But you see that when you do that, usually you create a rift. Now, in order to understand the best direction to go with a relationship is simply understand what you want that relationship to be. End goal, current state, in the present, what the past would be the ideal to look like. Create your relationship every single day to be what you want it to be, not with what you think it should be. A lot of us inherit the idea of a relationship from our parents or from our social groups, from some place in our life, but we're not sat down and actually taught uniformly that relationships go a certain way. Even my little girl likes to talk a lot about relationships, as you can hear. If you hear her, my dog's barking in the background. I'm sure that you guys are picking it up. She's playing with the other ones. So whenever it comes to relationships, they go the way you want them to go, or they go the way that you are told that they should go. So it's up to you to actually go by whatever direction you wish your relationship to go by. Now, you need to understand what you need in a relationship to be healthy and taken care of for yourself, or what you need to do for you prior to what somebody else needs to do for you. Because if you skip what you need to do, you may be putting a lot of baggage on the person in the relationship, and you may be directly positioning yourself to be a dependent. I need you to do these things for me in order for me to know you love me. Now, that's a we conversation, but you need to know you first. You need to be able to fully understand who you are. If not, you're trying to figure yourself out in a relationship with somebody else who's trying to figure themselves out in the relationship. And whenever that happens, you have a higher rate of infidelity or cheating if the relationship is to be monogamous, one person to the other person, and that's it. Now, if the relationship doesn't even have that distinction and you get cheated on, but you didn't even have the distinction established initially in the relationship, not all relationships have been experienced to be solely monogamous. Not all relationships have been solely experienced to be polygamist or any other variation in a relationship. We have all of these incidences that take place, and then we chastise and bastardize other people because they're actually trying to grow. If you meet somebody that excites you in another way, and the only way you can express intimacy is sexually, that person becomes attractive to you sexually because they have impressed that upon you, that there is something that they have, a characteristic, a piece of development, or something that you see that other person has that is desirable. And then you wonder why you find yourself sexually drawn to that person. Intimacy is what you desire with that individual. Intimacy does not mean sex. Sex is sex. Intimacy is intimacy. Now, often, sex and intimacy coincide. But sex and intimacy does not always coincide. Prostitution is an experience of lacking intimacy, but solely based in sex. Most people do not experience intimacy with sex with a prostitute, someone who's using sex as a mean of developing or getting gifts or money. Now, a lot of relationships are actually developed this way. In my observation, I've seen quite a few relationships that are solely based on sex. And then what can I get from this relationship based off of the fact that I reward this person with sex? That is in itself, in its own distinction, prostitution. Now, is that a bad thing? No. Is it a desirable thing? Not for everyone. Is it desirable for some? Absolutely, they do it. Is it up to you to judge them for that? No. If you judge them for that and you don't understand their plight in life and the way that they see their reality, you're an asshole. Plain and simple. Now, if you're sitting on a mighty high horse with all kinds of justification for your position because there's a righteousness and a certain way to live your life, and you're going to forever go around condemning others, you're also a bully. Revert back to the first part of this conversation or the first part of this video. You're a bully. If you're going around bullying people because you have a belief that they should behave a specific way, and they either need to accept the way that you view it or that they need to be chastised and bastardized for that position, you're bullying that individual. It is really that simple. If your righteousness and your concern over their afterlife and all the rest of that, consider that you may be in a brainwashed state and that you are purely just behaving like an asshole, even if you don't intend to be one. You are judging another based off of their position, and you don't even understand their plight. Now, getting past that to the other aspects of relationships. Now, if you really wanted to expand the context of prostitution, if you behave in a certain way to simply get emotional reaction out of somebody in order to feel like you're needed and wanted in that relationship, but you don't really accept them as much as your desire to be accepted, you're also out of balance. If you're out of balance in this context and you start doing emotional hostage negotiation, which is, I will love you if and I will love you when you do X, Y, or Z for me. And I'll take algebra out of it and I'll use some real life examples. When you take the trash out and you buy me my Tiffany diamonds. If you buy me my Tiffany diamonds, I might perform oral sex for you. Therefore, our relationship is intact because you give me gifts and I give you favors, or I give you physical attention for the fact that you've given me gifts. You are in a emotional hostage negotiation. You're holding back intimacy through the physical expression the other person is desiring. Now, does this mean that it's right or wrong? No. Does it mean it's desirable or undesirable? It depends on your role in the relationship. There are plenty of people out there that have gotten past any desire for intimate contact that would be equal, and they simply have a surplus of financial means or other resource means, and someone else who may be of a different age range or a different position in life is offering the attention that you desire. And the attention is not to be fully accepted, but to be accepted enough that you can have a fantasy lived out or a particular desire that may not necessarily qualify as a fantasy, but still that's kind of a big position or a gray area, because you could still qualify it the deeper you look at it as being a fantasy. If a desire isn't met, it can fall into a fantasy position. So once that desire is prolonged long enough, you can actually qualify that as being a fantasy. But it could also happen as quick as a second. You can realize that there's a new fantasy available. These individuals may offer that in exchange for the experience. So, I may give you a car, like a sugar daddy kind of experience, right? Or a sugar mama kind of experience, or a sugar cougar kind of experience, where they're going to willingly offer you a specific value in order to get the attention that they desire. Is there something wrong in this scenario? Absolutely not. It is not your scenario to judge if you're not in it. Now, you can judge it to the extent, yes, and let me clarify that actually. It is your position to judge it from whether or not you want to be a part of it. But as to say that they're doing something wrong is only based off of your own viewpoint. Now, you may have that viewpoint shared with many other people, but it doesn't mean that it's absolutely correct. It does mean, though, that there is a large value that says yes or no, but it does not necessarily mean as an absolute or ultimate yes or no that it is correct. It is what is correct for them because of what they're going through at this stage in their life. Whatever comes out of it as a consequence is also what is deserving of that. Now, you get every single moment of your life exactly what you deserve based off of the actions you have taken to acquire that experience. The consequences of your actions lead you to what you deserve. Now, if you do not work in such a way where society financially rewards you for your behaviors and a equatable value that you really want to experience, and you sit back and say, it's not fair, I deserve better. No, you don't. You deserve is with what you've got. That's the truth of what you deserve. Fight it as you wish. You yourself are responsible for creating the life you wish to live. You will get everything you deserve. Now, if you want to make more money, which most people focus on this, then you need to cultivate the skill sets necessary to achieve more money. Now, you must understand that that does come at a degree of sacrifice to who you are at this moment, because who you are at this moment is unable to have the money that you wish to have. Because if it was able to have that money, you would have it at this moment. You have to give up something that is limiting you from achieving that. There are many ways of making money or earning a living in this life. Many, many ways. Now, if it is a relationship that you wish to have, and you wish to have a specific partner in your life, first understand that if it is, I wish to have that person, understand that you are positioning that person as an object, not as a human being. Now, if you're going to take all actions necessary to achieving the goal of having a specific person in your life, consider that you're doing whatever's necessary to coerce that person into being a part of your life. Now, does that mean it's something wrong? No. Again, it's not my position to say yes or no about that. It is my position, though, to offer my insight, my experience, my viewpoints. That's one of the beautiful things about sharing. Now, ultimately, if you wish to have somebody in your life in such a way that they are an equal to you, you must understand who you are fully, not who you think you are. A way of finding out who you are is one way is to start polling people in your life. Ask them in such a safe way that it gives them the opportunity to tell you who you are to them without the recourse of you being upset or reacting. When taking on this particular exercise, which I will call it homework, ask 6 people in your life and let them know, regardless to what they say, you'll accept what they say, that is their experience of you. You will not chastise or punish them. You will not interrupt them while they give you their answer. You will say, at most, when they seem to have stopped, is there anything else? How else have I affected you? Please explain how you experience me, because this is a homework opportunity for self-development that I'm taking on. I want to know who you see me to be, who I am to you, how I've affected you in your life. I really want to know, because I'm working on myself, because there's goals that I have that I realize that if I really want to achieve these goals, there are a few things that I need to grow in. I need to develop myself in. And you're going to give me the blessing of doing this. You're going to give me the privilege to do this by telling me who I am to you. And let them explain it. It doesn't need to be one 5-minute example. It can be, and I'm going to leave this open to you to continue to consider this. Even if you don't have it on top of mind right now, you're welcome to share this with me later. You have that option, or you have the option to continue doing what you've done, being upset about what you've done and accomplished, and blame other people for you not accomplishing it, and then resort to punishing others through one form or another, whether it's emotional or if it's physical or whatever it may be, even if it has no communication value whatsoever because you've never met the person and you're simply punishing that person by not interacting with them or being rude to them in public or in public forum or in actual life. So with that, I hope that this video has been a great deal of value. I always do intend that it be that. I really had this on my chest that I wanted to get it off because I see this regularly in my life. Yeah, this is Chad Everett Brochures. I'm the developer and the host of the Growing Up in the Wilds of Suburbia, and also the author of the Human Manual. I hesitated because I found something on the net that I'm not too pleased in finding with the same title 5 years after I came up with it. So good stuff. Okay, guys and gals, please feedback, share this as often as you like. I always look forward to hearing something back if you care to share. Also, if you feel that this video would make a difference for someone else, please share that as well. And until the next video, thank you so much for your attention. I do appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful day. Happy holidays to all. And I'll see you in the next video.